everybody. It's Heather with Senior Service Industry Nights of Florida, and I'm coming to you from Sun City Center, Florida, where we're going to be holding our first ever South Shore Industry Nights over off of Gibsonton Road, actually, where the movie theater is. It's going to be at Features Gastropub in Gibsonton, and I have one of my wonderful sponsors for that night. This is Christine Cieslik with Next Stage Moving Services.
Thank you,
Thanks
Heather.
for having a chance to come on board and talk with me today and give me a little more information. This is our first time meeting today, and we've had a chance to chat a little bit, and she's really got a fascinating story. So why don't you give us a little background about your company, what makes you unique, and why you got into it?
Thank you, Heather. It's really a privilege to be here, and it was about a couple of years ago. I had been working with a young lady who had a senior move management business, and interestingly, I had been working, supporting family members and friends who were in life crisis or health crisis when a diagnosis actually was imposed upon them, and seeing the needs that one goes through and not knowing where to turn. So even going back a little further, 20 years ago when my husband and I married, he was diagnosed with a chronic disease, and at 45 years old, he had to sell his dental practice, which took place in 3 weeks. And so seeing the immediate needs and the immediacy, and having to adapt and search out resources, whether it's moving, accommodations, there's such a critical need. People don't often know where to go. And so when we moved to Florida, we realized that the moving process was quite complex. And so when families are estranged, or there's other multiple family crisis, families have their children that they're raising, or they have other family members that
And
are
they're all
in need.
over, maybe they're all over the country?
They're all over the country. So some of my clients have been in Germany, they have been in Switzerland, so there's a lot of bridging the family communications to be able to advocate for their loved ones when they themselves can't be there. And so it takes one that has been through the process, seeing the needs, and being able to make that difference one person at a time, because people's needs are unique, just as we are as unique as our fingerprints.
Sure.
So we really need to identify what the one person's needs are and how we can adapt to those ever-changing needs. So clients, they can have changing needs not only amongst themselves, but in their extended family, because they are also struggling with their own situations. So we've been able to manage funerals, we've been able to manage language interpreters.
Give us an example of, how many prongs can sometimes be involved in one of these processes.
Oh my goodness. Well, for example, within the last year, there was a lady that I moved her from her home that she had been in for a number of years, and she went into independent living, and she was in there 2 days when a health diagnosis occurred. I followed her in because of part of the care solutions when more is needed is my heart and the tagline to my business. So I actually followed her into rehab. We became instant friends, and I became her advocate. Her elder attorney suggested that we develop a relationship so that she could utilize my services that are both billable and non-billable hours. It's not only a business, but it's also a ministry. So we became very close, and I would interface with her care managers, her social workers, her elder care attorney, her accountants, because it also happened to be at the time of tax season. She had no one. Her family was in Germany, and there was no one to advocate for her.
And I got to tell you, I'm 53, and what you just described would overwhelm me. So I can imagine being elderly and having no one, and you're in a rehab.
It's just the thought of moving alone is an overwhelming process, and just the moving industry alone, it has grown exponentially in years past. If you look back to the times when our great grandparents they talked about the little wheelbarrow and moving their little 1 or 2 pieces of furniture, and now we've grown into we buy things and we have an abundance of things. So, and some things are treasures that we want to keep. So we do more than just helping pack them up safely. We work with as senior move managers, which is a registered trademark, as you know, Heather. We work with individuals that subscribe to the same philosophies, the same passions, and the same code of ethics, so that everyone is on the same page, working towards the common good for this individual client and their specific needs, because those needs can change hour to hour, sometimes minute to minute, as in the case of this lady. So back to Mrs. M. She went into independent living, and 2 days later in rehab. In rehab, she was discharged, and after she was discharged back into IL, it was determined that she no longer could be in not qualified. So we moved her into assisted living, subsequently moving right into hospice, of which stretched out over a 6-month period. Because the family was abroad, I then was given the privilege of coordinating her funeral, and it just so happened that because she was of German origin, we did everything in American and German, and it was just beautiful. So that was not something that I had chosen, but it was chosen for me.
Boy,
and that's
you
where
talk start
it's
to
unique.
finish.
It's start to finish.
Literally, you were
it's a
start to finish
comprehensive
with her.
plan.
Wow, what a blessing
So
that she met
they're
you.
all unique, they're all different, and so there's been coordination of, right now I have a client in New York City, and another move manager and I are we've married the process together so that she has support and care on her end, and then I will work with her on this end to be able to bring her through the flight reservations. And so we just never know what one is needing, but that's what we're there for, to help them meet their needs wherever they are in their life or health or life cycle.
Right.
With or without family.
And this is why I wanted to have Christine on board as one of our sponsors. And I really implore you to, number one, you need to come out and join us that night. We're going to have such a good time. It's going to be June 26th, 4:30 to 6:30. The first 50 people get a free drink, compliments of the sponsors, so we certainly appreciate that. There'll be appetizers to be shared, but more importantly, if you are someone who serves seniors, and let's be honest, if you're living in the state of Florida, who doesn't? You really need to get to know this lady and tuck her away as a referral source for you, because you will come across a client that's going to need somebody like her, and it's going to be a blessing when you're there.
And I really like to advocate, not just only in the services, Heather, but also as a point of educational resource, that if clients or potential clients or family needs just information, I'm more than happy to refer out. Even when services aren't used, because it's about being able to feed into the needs of others. And we're actually doing that here in Riverview and Sun City Center. We have what we have called a wraparound process, which is trying to wrap around our seniors and families' needs that have complex situations. So it's definitely a natural osmosis for myself and others that have the same heart together to make a difference.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, thank you for this
Thank you,
interview,
Heather.
and I'm going to end it on, I'm kind of putting you on the spot. So on every interview, I usually ask somebody to tell me a little bit of something personal about you that maybe people wouldn't expect, or maybe they don't know about you, some kind of little fun fact that kind of gets to know you better.
Well, in 1963, I came from Glasgow, Scotland, and it's interesting because it was that first move that really prepared me for what happens at the age of 8 years old. And yes, you can't hear my accent. So it's really, you're working with people across the globe. You are able to work with the demographics, their just everything about them, culture.
You just blew me away right now. Oh my gosh, and I so want to pay you to come back to my house tonight and just talk by my side of my bed while I have a little lavender tea. That is like the best accent. My gosh, it's fantastic.
I'm a firm believer, and this is a little motivation for all of you listeners. No matter where you are in your life process, there's always a trajectory that has a purpose. And I can look back from that age of 8 coming to the United States with my accent and my different clothing and everything different, that it all had a purpose. And every career, position, volunteer opportunity, civic involvement, it all has integrated into where I am today.
Right.
It has all served a purpose, whether it was hospice, which is part of what I've been doing, working in critical care, working in human resources. So if you're someone that's questioning where you are, be encouraged. It's all going to integrate where you are, that God will absolutely use it.
And you're getting me kind of emotional, because you're right, because everything that I've had with my history has brought me to this moment, which is to start my own company and be able to bring senior service industry nights to all of you throughout the state of Florida. And it is, and I've met so many phenomenal people, and I want you to come and meet some of my phenomenal sponsors like Christine, So we're going to go ahead and end this segment. Thank you so much for talking
Thank
with
you,
me.
Heather.
We're very excited. Again, please join us at Features Gastro Pub. It's right off of Gibsonton Drive in the movie theater location. The information is on the page as to the address. 4:30 to 6:30, 7:30 more likely, because people always stay late. We have a good time when we do these things. For our first 50 drinks, they're going to be free. There's going to be tons of appetizers. This is a networking like nothing you've ever seen. So please come and join us, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everybody.
We look forward to it. Bye-bye.